Hi, if you like the video, please remember to subscribe. This, my friends, is the small but perfectly formed SJCAM M20 action video camera, the newer cousin to the well-known SJ4000. But the question is whether these upgrades and new features make it worthy of consideration to adding to your videography arsenal. As for price, the M20 goes for about £100 on Amazon in the UK and $120 on Amazon in the USA. So it's just a little bit cheaper than an entry-level GoPro Hero, which has no screen, no 2K, and only 1080p at 30 frames a second. The Hero has no wireless app control or wireless remote and only 5 megapixel stills, and the Hero comes with no accessories. In comparison, the headline features on the M20 are 2K 30 frames a second video, 1080p at 60 frames a second, a viewing screen on the back, wireless control via an app or a dedicated remote, 16 megapixel images via a Sony sensor, and a boatload of accessories included in the box. Let's look at those video resolutions a little more closely. On the box, the M20 is advertised as a 4K interpolated video camera, which means that it's not true 4K. The maximum native resolution you get out the M20 is a highly respectable 2K, or 2304 versus by 1296 at 30 frames a second. For most of us though, the standout feature and the upgrade over the SJ4000 is that the M20 does 1080p at 60 frames a second and 720p at an amazing 120 frames a second, which means that you can create that crisp 60 frames a second look on your videos at normal speed and slow things down and still get 30 frames per second output. To be honest, I shoot mainly at 1080p 30 frames a second, but the option to use those higher frame rates if I need to is very nice indeed. I wanted to talk a little about the white balance on the M20 because the SJ4000 wasn't particularly great at that. Now, the M20 handles indoor lighting much better than the SJ4000, and although things are a little on the blue side when outside in bright sunshine, I think the colour of the files is well improved over the SJ4000. SJCAM have added gyro stabilization to the M20, which I guess must be done via software, and it seems to work okay, smoothing things out in the car and walking, although if things get very bumpy, you'd be advised to turn it off completely to avoid an odd looking file. We can do an in-camera crop of the videos the M20 records by adjusting the field of view, going from the wide 166 degree normal view through the medium 150 degrees and narrow 70 degrees. What this means that as long as you line up your shot correctly, you can get a similar angle of view to a standard wide angle lens on an SLR or DSLR like a 28mm, rather than that almost fisheye look from when you go ultra wide. But do remember that the reason why these little video cameras are so useful is that they have that super wide angle lens, because it means you don't have to be accurate in how you aim them. The field of view is so large that it captures all the action that's roughly in front of it. With the M20 you can also turn on distortion correction, which disables any of that field of view stuff, but what it does do is it adjusts and crops the image to largely remove that fisheye effect from the wide angle lens, giving a more pleasing, less distorted view. Audio recording, unfortunately, is as bad as the SJ4000, so don't be expecting to be recording any blogs with you speaking to the M20. The videos that this camera produces should have a music or commentary track added in post-production, or be used as B-roll footage in addition to your main camera captured video. I wouldn't use a camera like this as my still device, but the M20 can produce 16 megapixel images in JPEG, and rather impressively, it can shoot in RAW for anyone who fancies that feature. I am super excited to report that the new M20 waterproof case is very, very well made, and wait for it, the buttons are now easy to press. This might seem like a small thing to anyone who hasn't used an SJ4000 with its incredibly stiff case buttons, but I can assure anyone who has that the M20 is as easy to use in its case as it is out of it. The case is waterproof down to 30 meters in case you want to go scuba diving, but the rest of us, it means it's perfect for using on holiday in the sea or accidentally getting soaked in an English rainstorm. Small action cams are perfect for making time-lapse videos as B-roll, as introduction or as an end in themselves, and the M20 is no exception to that. Offering 3, 5, 10 or 20 second gaps between frames, I would recommend the 3-second option, and that will give you a nice looking smooth time-lapse at 30 frames a second. SJCAM very kindly sent me the remote to go with the M20, and I've got to say that it's very, very useful. Unlike the Android app, which on my Motorola phone I found too unreliable for everyday use. But this little remote though is perfect for when you've got the camera somewhere you can't reach, like on the bonnet of your car as you go down the motorway, but with this remote you can turn recording on and off and take stills too. Battery life seems fair for its size, giving you around 45 minutes of recording time, but I'd recommend you get a spare battery for serious use, just as you'd have spare batteries in cards for your main stills camera. SJCAM do us proud with all the accessories that come in the box. I'd recommend buying an extra battery, and you should buy the small remote, and also one of these. This is the GoPro suction mount, which is compatible with the M20, and it is an amazing piece of kit. Sure, it's expensive, but the peace of mind that this will stay stuck to where you've put it is well worth the difference from its cheaper competition. In the description below the video, I'll link to more example videos I've done with the M20 already, so you can look at the M20 in a little more detail. But at the beginning of the video, I ask if it's worth adding this small action cam to your videography arsenal instead of more SJ4000s, and I'd have to say yes. I wouldn't go out and replace my SJ4000 Wi-Fi with the M20, but if I was in the market for an extra action cam, or I was looking for my first buy, the M20 with an extra spare battery and the GoPro suction mount would be top of my list, rather than the cheaper SJ4000 or a more expensive GoPro Hero. Anyway, that's enough from me. Please put any questions or comments down below. Hit like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe if you'd like to see more of the same. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.